to you. It's been quite a while. I hope you're well.
Yes, I am well. Thank you. How are you?
I am also doing well. First of all, let's start with the very idea of a youth manifesto. What do you think?
Well, good morning to your listeners and your producers as well. First of all, I've got to say that the day that was chosen to launch the manifesto was the youth manifesto was quite interesting, really. To think that the project just launched. There was the tertiary version, and then somehow there was also what I call the local version. So the aesthetics around it was quite interesting to start off. I thought that was really interesting. I should say that. So the substantive matter though, there's nothing wrong with having a youth manifesto. If you think that your country's demographics clearly show that the youth are constitute the greatest bulge, then obviously you should be thinking clearly about it. Every policy you roll out must have the youth at heart, because in any case, they are human beings anyway. So for me, the idea of a youth manifesto is not a bad one. But I'm sure when the NPP launches its own manifesto, you see some, references to youth and all of that. Already, Bamia has been mentioning all kinds of things of the youth. And so it's a good thing, really. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Now, having said that, I'm sure you made time to at least watch a significant portion of what is in the manifesto as presented. What are the key things that caught your attention, and what do you think about them?
Well, I can talk about the highlights, which everybody seems to be talking about, which essentially has to do with the issues around job creation, which is a very important one, really. If you thought that this country's unemployment rate has gone through the roof, and to think that a significant portion of that unemployment rate is actually made up of young people or youth, then you have a time bomb. You're actually sitting on a time bomb, because, idle hands, they say, should I call it cannon fodder for the devil. And so if you have very able-bodied youth who go through school, and some do not go through school at all, and are just wondering about, you should be concerned. So, but the question we should be asking is, what type of jobs do they require? Levels of jobs that must be looked at? Do we look at the sophisticated nature of the jobs? Are we looking at those tertiary trained apprenticeship? And I think I had all of that within the conversation that was had yesterday. So the 24-hour thing is not really. It's a policy vision. The 24-hour promise, which essentially is to say, within this band of 24 hours cycle, we'll create jobs and all of that. These are aspirational. They are visions. So it's a bit difficult to criticize the 24-hour policy stuff. But to the extent that it makes room for additional human resources to be recruited, hopefully they are productive, then there's a focus, there's a real need for conversations around the issues around the youth employment. To that extent, I heard that. The other thing that was prominent had to do with the education sector, which I heard was promised that there's going to be free tertiary education. There's some internal inconsistency within the Ndc'S thinking. First of all, you're asking for the free SHS to be targeted, which we all agree, but it's not everybody who has to go free, so they can free up money and invest in other critical areas of the education. But then now you say you want to make sure every first-year person does not pay academic user fee. Well, there's some inconsistency. But another question really is, why only first year? Are they only in need in first year? What about subsequent years? So these are basic questions that I suspect that these would have answers to, but clearly there seem to be real gaps. I think the other point that ought to be made clear also has to do with the how am I forgetting this point? I was going to I mentally wrote it down. Yeah, so far, yes, so far. I mean, these are the okay. The other, yes, and I think when he was at is it Jamestown or whatever place he went to?
Yeah, the Boku Bossy Arena, yes.
Yeah, he promised the youth that they were not going to pay taxes on debt. I think that is not a good idea at all. You see, the idea is that if you are really looking for money to prosecute or at least top up the expenditure plans you have, these taxes that I'm against, I'm a libertarian, so I don't like taxes. But taxes on betting and the rest, they are fine with me. I don't think they are wrong at all. And so I feel it's narrowing the base for raising taxes. I don't think it is a good idea for him to suggest that the youth will not pay tax. Well, then, of course, he predicated it upon the fact that once they get jobs, then maybe they will have to start paying tax. But what time period? We don't have that analysis. So these are just a few things I picked. Unfortunately, I didn't read the entire document. I didn't listen to the entire speech because I was doing some other stuff. But these are the major ones that I've heard so far.
And I think these are the things that have attracted attention. First of all, it means by mentioning the betting tax, you do not disagree with the proposal to take off the e-levy?
Oh, the e-levy obviously it cuts across. You see, e-levy obviously should be agreed. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. It is a silly tax, really, if you ask me. So, to the extent that he's taking it off is a good thing. You see, the only reason why the sports betting tax must stay, because e-levy obviously was supposed to be some sort of a level everybody pays. It's progressive. It's not really wise because we are not helping digitalization. But this one, it's inelastic. People still bet. Like people when they're on a Kool-Aid, they bet continuously bet. Even if they win, they will bet anyway. So you make more money than at the same time you pay tax.
Very interesting. You are making yourself an enemy of the Betters Association and the betting nation.
Oh no, I think they will understand. I mean, I was actually taxing them. I think the rate is what they should look at. I think I think the rate is. I've forgotten what the rate is. I think they were complaining that the rate was too high now. Somehow
the rate is now 10%.
You are not providing with jobs. They are using all the money to do Japadi and all kind of nonsense. So why don't you possibly leave me alone to enjoy my tax? But anyway, I suspect that's another conversation to be had.
Very interesting. On the matter of the academic user, I just spoke to Beatrice Annan, who is a deputy spokesperson for the campaign. Her explanation is that, as you know, universities, entry is always the most difficult point. So what they seek to do is to reduce the burden on new students. That's the explanation she gave.
No, not at all. You see, I don't think. You see, there's ordinarily it to sound as though that's a good thing. Look, let's not. Once you oppose the whole policy, you can't just be reintroducing something similar to the back door. At least they should have said that they were targeting it. Maybe targeting it to certain courses or people who are in need. You cannot be rejecting one and supporting another. That argument doesn't work, unfortunately.
So you support it on the basis of proper targeting, but it's the choice of level 100 alone not targeting enough. That I'm doing it at only level 100. That's targeting, is it not?
Well, the point is, if you targeted in the first year, then what's the point? Then I don't get anything second year, third year. What have you done to me? Because what's the basis for supporting me then? Because you are not going to determine how poor I'll be, whether in the year 2 or year 3 or year 4. Are you really? So why convince me to get in, and then second year you leave me hanging? Unless, of course, you are saying that you are going to make sure that you student loan. I don't know. Frankly, there's a huge inconsistency there that they need to address.
And let me conclude with you on this note, because you've done, at Imani, you do a lot of research on policy and also on the challenges that are confronting the Ghanaian. Now, if there was one area for you that you think that any government should focus when it comes to the youth, what would that be, and how would you expect them to approach it?
I think it's a systemic mind shift, mind change. The content of our education and the content of our continuous professional development courses must be made world class, reality based, instead of just allowing people to pass through school as if school will not pass through them. I think that one, life skills for those who may not go through formal education, and of course, the should I call it the curriculum or the curriculum that we develop must also be made in such a way that everybody benefits, whether you're tertiary or non-tertiary. I think for me, apart from that, at the end of the day, the government should just back off from taxing people needlessly. Maybe you should create tax incentives for certain types of certain categories of businesses that the youth would get into, and then leave everybody else to think about themselves, really.
Well, thank you very much for speaking to us. But there's one thing that seems to be attracting our attention at Imani. This Royal Ghana Gold Refinery. What's your issue with it?
This whole thing, it sounds like a Japan for me. This whole thing, look, the government needs to be a bit more clear. Are you saying that an Indian company is the one that set up this whole thing, but the Bank of Ghana is going in as a partner? I mean, what is this ludicrous arrangement? The way we suspect that is the government that is trying to use certain individuals to quietly have access to our gold, really, because then they'll go and pay that so-called 80%, whatever it is, because they claim we own 80%, right? But then the Bank of Ghana is the one putting up the. In any case, there have been all kinds of lies. First of all, they told us that project will cost 25 million. The Indian government has paid for it already. Now they are telling us the thing costs 100 million. So we are suspicious, really, very suspicious. So we need more answers.
More answers on the arrangement. Who is doing what?
Sure.
Whether it's a private venture, it's a public venture, public-private, you don't see clarity in it.
Well, they need to give us clarity. But from what we've seen so far, the companies that they are mentioning are tiny. They are not doing well. They don't have experience. They don't have the money. The whole thing is just too it's suspicious.
Mr. Cudjoe, thank you very much for speaking to us this morning.
Thank you.
Your call has been.
Mr. Franklin Cudjoe is founding president Imani, speaking to us this morning. I took him on quite a journey. Anyway, but I'll read to you what their problem with the Royal